Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Now we've done the 40s, and now people are coming into their 50s. Okay.
Yes.
So in the 50s, for example, while we were doing the last video there in the 40s, I got a text message from a man in his late 50s, and last Sunday he was diagnosed with cancer. Okay. Now we mentioned all the way through the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s the importance of exercise, the importance of your health, and the importance of eating properly. Okay. And the importance of managing your mental health, your stress. Okay?
That's the one that's more important. The mental, spiritual and emotional section of your personality, because such things are important and have to be in balance. If there's an imbalance there, it causes stress, and stress leads to the type of thing that man is suffering from. There has to be something in his life that has a certain experience, I don't know whether at work, at home, or wherever it might be, but you can have stress that can trigger off instability in your system, and then your whatever is in your system is trying to work and cope with that, and so something else suffers. You've got to sort of have equilibrium, and in a situation where there is stress, there's two things necessary. If it's in work, the best thing is to seek another job. If it's in a domestic situation or a marriage or something like that, the best thing is to seek another situation. Not to sort of just walk away, but if it's such that it's a permanent feature, it's definitely going to injure your health physically, because that's what stress does. You will suffer either some way.
Yeah.
And it often leads to an error because it's not a natural way to be, but it can happen. It can happen, and it's a very sad affair if it happens. Well, it's doubly sad if it happens and everything is kind of all right in the situation, which it also does. Our life in this earth is determined by a lot of factors, and some excellent, lovely people die young. Could be injured in an accident, a plane crash, or this, that, or the other. As a matter of fact, in a local church not too far from where we are at the moment, there's a stained glass window as you leave the church, a lovely stained glass window in memorial from a family by the name of O'Reilly, and obviously second generation or something like that in America, and their son of 24 or 25 was killed in the 9/11 into the Twin Towers.
Oh my God!
He was working on that. I mean, they were prestige jobs there.
Yeah.
And he was killed. He was killed in that, and to have a memorial down there for him in the window, and the time and all the rest of it. So you see all these tragedies can occur out of the ordinary, but especially as regards a kind of a serious illness. It's always a worry, matter of fact, no matter what time it happens.
Absolutely.
No matter what time it happens. And so your 50s is a time for reconsidering what you're at. I can only speak about myself. When I reached, when I was in my 50s, I don't know whether it's approaching it or when I actually celebrated it, I felt I hadn't achieved what I had intended to achieve. Now this would be from a material point of view, probably. And really that's not a good way to be. But in any event, it didn't last too long. As a matter of fact, I think it lasted about 3 months. But it was the best thing probably that ever happened to me, because when you have that sort of a situation, you're certainly looking for a solution, and out of it I got, whether it was spiritually, I think it was spiritually more than anything else, and I never looked back. I never passed any remark. I'm delighted to have a birthday. As a matter of fact, I have a birthday tomorrow, quite close to your own.
Very good.
And I got 4 birthday cards this morning, which I was delighted. My sister and her friend, separate one, and I got one from a neighbour, and I got one from somebody else, a good friend that I know for years. and Margaret Phelan, her name is Phelan as well, from Waterford, Portlaw, County Waterford, and lovely person, and she had an illness there a year ago or so, and she thanks to God, made a great recovery. Now, now the 50s, so things can happen, and so it's you've reached a watershed, and sometimes you think maybe you haven't achieved what you might have liked to have achieved, but forget about that, because oftentimes the best year of your life is ahead.
Yeah. Well, I read something somewhere once that in your 50s, right, there comes, once we get into our 50s, people become resigned to the fact that all the ambitions they had up to that point, right, they're never going to achieve them. They can only achieve, they realise there's no point now, okay? And there's a kind of a satisfaction in setting aside the ambitions, because they realise, okay, at this stage, I'm never going to write that book. I'm never going to learn that guitar. So there's a whole lot of things that they put aside. Correct. And now they can start a moment of peace.
Exactly, and that is the best thing that ever happens. Yes. It's contentment, it's peace, I don't know what it is, but it's also developing more than anything else of any other part of your stuff, your spiritual. And you begin to sort of be very grateful for actually what you have and what you achieved. It's a completely different thing. Funny enough, up to your 50s, you have a very materialistic approach. At least I think, anyways, if you have ambition, you have that. But that, I think, well, leaves you after 50. Thanks for the goodness, because if one achieved it, it could be very dangerous for your upstairs department, because you think you're going to eat or something. You think that your big house or your maybe Mercedes new one and all the rest of it, it determines who you are. It doesn't. It doesn't. So all I know is that after that, I was as happy as Larry, as the fella says. I don't think I ever, well, I didn't suffer too much from that kind of thing before, but certainly after 50, it was just lovely. It was, to me, it was the, what would I call it, it was really the bonus of life. You've gone that far, you haven't gone too far astray. It doesn't matter if you had crosses during your period. Nothing seems to bother you. And somehow or other, you're grateful for the friends that you have and that you've had for years from the time you were young. And sometimes you meet other ones that are great friends as well. So your whole, what the personality and the goodness in you comes out, I think. And you also become very realistic about things that you thought, well, if such a one was doing that, then this would happen. You just sort of say, well, nothing in life is perfect or will ever be. Mm-hmm. There's going to be problems. And if there's problems severe enough in, say, the political situation or the religious situation, they're not as active as they should be, or something like this, or something is not going, well, you can talk about that without getting too involved, because you've acquired opinions and contentment and satisfaction. So you have more of a dispassionate view of things. You're not, you know something is not going to change, but you can make your suggestions.
You can do.
And if you've got the facility to be able to do it, which we have nowadays with the internet and with videos and all the rest of it, and whatever one can do, there's great facilities available, and we can use them to the benefit of others, perhaps.
Absolutely. And I suppose in the 50s, you're heading now into the area of kind of like where you're thinking about your retirement.
Correct.
And you're also thinking about your children, if you have them, if you're lucky enough to have them, in university.
Yes.
And maybe graduating at this stage.
Yeah, well, I know some people, and they're heading into their 70s, and their children are still in and going further on. And they'd be lucky just to be alive when they eventually qualify. So all I'm saying is that vis-a-vis that, there's always hope, as the fellow says, and one can have an optimistic nature. If it will be, it will be. If something works out satisfactory, fair enough, and if it doesn't, what about it? One have one's health, one has one's friends, one has one's contentment, and that can't be changed. Doesn't matter where you are, you have it within you. You don't have to have any material possession. You don't have to be what you think, what you might have thought in your 30s and 40s what was success. Success has been successful with yourself. Now, not a selfish, self-centered sort of way, but to accept yourself and see the good and focus on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, look, untimely deaths is something that we didn't cover in the other. We were talking about the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and now we're into the 50s. But you mentioned untimely deaths. Because I did, at 19 years of age, I was working with two lovely lads.
Yes.
And I went away for the summer to County Kerry. And when I came back for September, the two of them were dead. Okay? They were killed in Dunshaughlin. Gavin Hughes and Dara something, I can't remember his name. They were my work friends, but I was very close to them. And they were killed in a car accident coming from the county club in Dunshaughlin. You know? Now, I was told that Gavin was definitely died, and Dara, they said he was in a coma, but I assume he died. I don't know, and I've never known his surname, so I've never been able to find out, right? So this would have been about, I suppose, 1989, 1990 thereabouts, you know?
I think I recall, but there are a few more killed in that.
They could have been.
Yeah, I think I recall something like that. Funny enough, because there've been serious accidents, and Donegal seemed to suffer an awful lot from it.
Yeah.
One fella got to jail there recently, 3 years, for what he did as regards bad driving. That was a very sad affair, like, because that was unexpected and tragic. It just shows you how fragile life is. For some ways, when we think of it, that we're lucky to have reached whatever stage we are without being maybe knocked over, or somebody lunatic just coming off a side road and bumping into you.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
That's the thing. So anyway, we've done the 50s. Is there anything else you want to say about the 50s, you think?
Well, as I say, it's a watershed, the 50s, but it behoves a person in their 50s, they need to have a realisation of a spiritual life in their makeup, that they have a soul, and they just didn't come down from the sky. They're made unique. They're unique. There's nobody like them. There's no other person with the same DNA or the same fingerprints or anything. So you're unique. Nobody was before, or nobody will be in the future. So you're unique. So, which is a great thing. But you have to. You can't go down a very materialistic, satanic road, which is going every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and treating people like it's such a casual manner, not respecting their bodies or your own for that matter, and thinking that everything else is a kind of suspect, because you're caught in a trap that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
And you're living in Clúch. I won't say Clúch-Cuchulainn, because that's often not a bad place. You're living in some place that's very dangerous.
And the other thing as well we didn't mention was, we kind of neglected it really, is people in their 50s, we keep saying marriage and children, but there are people in their 50s that could still, maybe they're single and they could still get a partner.
Of course they could.
You know?
Because like they're mature and they've still got something to contribute to a marriage, and that's very possible. But depending on what sort of a person you are, and generally speaking, if you take care of your spiritual end of it and practice your religion, if you're a Catholic, by going to mass and that, and saying prayers for those that have died, and those that need help because of their lifestyles. That's always good, because that's the only thing you can do that might have benefits. So that's the part that's the most important in your 50s, because once that soil is nourished, you're going to just get that peace that, as the fellow says, passes all understanding. You know, it's as simple as that, and that's the only way that I it sort of stuck to me down the years, but certainly in my 50s, I never looked back, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
And take everything as it comes. I don't go seeking it, but if it comes, it comes, and I'll go along with it if I think it's going to be helpful for what I kind of believe in. And I can see from what I've done over the years, I've been heading the road that I'm on.
Very good. Thank you very much, John.
Thanks very much, Oliver.